Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Bhuvani Chari Yamuna Tira Vani Chari Yamuna Tira Vani Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Bhavani Chari Yamuna Tira Vani Chari Bhagavad-gita as it is. Chapter 12, text number
10.
10. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Abhyase pi asamarto si mat karma paramo bhava mad artam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi abhyase pyasamartosi abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi kurvan siddhim avapsyasi abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi
Abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava artam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi
Abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi Abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi
Don't be bashful.
Abhyase apyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi
Ladies?
Abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi Abhyase pyasamartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. Okay.
Abhyase,
Abhyase.
in practice.
In practice.
Api,
Api.
even if.
Even if.
Asamartha,
Asamartha.
unable.
Unable.
Asi,
Asi.
you are.
You are.
Mat karma,
Matkarma.
my work.
My work.
Parama,
Parama.
dedicated to.
Dedicated to.
Bhava,
Bhava.
become.
Become.
Matartam,
Matartam.
for my sake.
For my sake.
Api,
Api.
even.
Even.
Karmani,
Karmani.
work.
Work.
Kurvan,
Kurvan.
performing.
Performing.
Siddhim,
Siddhim.
perfection.
Perfection.
Avapsyasi,
Avapsyasi.
you will achieve.
You will achieve.
Translation. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. I'm always curious to take a look because '55th verse of the 11th chapter. And that verse says, "My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me." Has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and they require help. So even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand, so the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness. Or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ginanjanan Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sthapitam Yenam Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Sampurantikam Namahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashchati Dushatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Who cannot practice Krishna consciousness under the terms described by Srila Prabhupada? Sometimes people think it's all so complicated. The principles, the rules, I can't pronounce the Sanskrit, I can't do the pujas, I don't really understand the 10th canto. It's so complex. Sometimes people say it's not complex. It's actually very simple. But do they even do that? It's so simple. How much simpler can it be? Then just do something for Krishna. Everyone has experienced doing something for somebody. There is nobody who has never done something for somebody. That person does not exist. First of all, we do something for ourselves. Well, I'm somebody, and I do things for me. I serve me. If I have a broader view, I may serve my mother and my father because they gave me this body, and I'm indebted to them, and I have a duty to perform. Somehow, on a personal note, I ended up in Miami because I have to do some of that right now. I have a 97-year-old mother who finally has become favorable to Krishna consciousness. I told her, Mom, I'm going to Switzerland. I'll be away for 5 weeks. She said, don't leave. I'm 97 years old. Maybe I won't be alive when you come back. I said, Mom, what am I supposed to do? Sit around and wait for you to die? She said, no, son, I don't expect you to do that. Why are you going to Switzerland? Well, my mother knows the whole story. So I said, you know why? She said, it's good to have goals in life. Go. I couldn't believe it. I said, Mom, are you giving me your blessing to go to Switzerland? She said, yes. I couldn't believe it. She never said that in her life. I said to her, Mom, you know, you sometimes get forgetful. And when you're forgetful, sometimes when I tell you something, you think that I'm telling it for the first time and you've never heard it before. When I tell you that you gave me your blessings to go to Switzerland, will you believe me? And she said, yes, I'll believe you. So that's a kind of consideration for someone who gave me this body. I can't give up service to Krishna for anyone, but I can make it palatable. I can make it somehow acceptable. And then we serve our children. Oh, we serve our children with great dedication. We want them to be healthy. We want them to be educated. We want them to marry properly. We want them to make money. And most people, they'll do anything to achieve those goals. And they serve their children. Some people serve their community. They say, you know, ik ben voor Zürich. And I want Zürich to be a great canton. And I want to do something that I can be remembered for in my canton or my country. Of course, that's the next level. That I can do something patriotic. I can be remembered for serving my country. Which now we're getting to a level where people actually think that's glorious. It's very special. And every country has its pantheon of heroes. Pantheon is a word from pan means all or everywhere, and theon from theology means gods. The pantheon is the place of all the gods. Like in Rome, there's a building called the Pantheon, and it was dedicated to all the gods. So in the pantheon of every country, there are many great heroes who've done things for the country. They've served the country. You know? In fact, if you want to become Swiss by naturalization, you have to take a test. Sometimes it's very official, and sometimes it's an informal interview in the Swiss consulate all over the world. And they ask you, so, you want to become Swiss? I see you've met the qualifications. You've been married to a Swiss person and you've traveled to Switzerland many times, and that's good, that's good. And you don't seem to be a threat to the security of our country. Good, that's good. But do you have enige verbindingen to Switzerland? What do you know? For example, can you tell me some famous Swiss? They ask that. And then you have to be able to say, yes, I can tell you some. Do you know some Swiss artists? You go, oh, yes. Hopefully you know. Paul Klee, he was Swiss. Yes, very good. And Giacometti, he was Ticinese. Oh, very good. You know, and you have to know who Conrad Gessler is, and William Tell, and how he was a hero. And every country, I'm not picking on Switzerland, every country is like this. And people serve their country, and they get glory for serving their country. And of course, if you go maybe one step further, you can be a humanitarian. And you can serve all humanity. And there are so many welfare organizations, and they do good work. But up to that point. And here is the revolution that Krishna is speaking about in this verse that Prabhupada is explaining. You don't have to change doing something for somebody. You just now have to do it for Krishna. However much you can, however much time, however much effort. Do you have the ability to follow all the principles? Hopefully yes. If not yet, then follow some of them. If you can't follow the principles, well, maybe you can do some work for Krishna. Many years ago, a sympathizer who liked Krishna, he was not a devotee, he came to this temple and he built this, he forged this. He was a blacksmith. He forged this beautiful gate so that the deities would be protected. And after that, that was really what he did. And to this day, his service is here. We may remember who he was or not, I remember, but he did it. He worked for Krishna. Others, I don't know, this was after my time. I was told that some devotee or friend of Krishna helped fix the roof of the temple, right? And that without him, it would have been very difficult to have achieved that project. He worked for Krishna. In the Shastra it says we can offer 4 things. Everyone has them. Diya, Artha, Vakya, and Prana. Diya means our intelligence. You can think of doing something with your brain and offer it to Krishna. You can think of a plan, you can think of a concept, you can manage some type of a project and think creatively to make it a success for Krishna. That's thinking, intelligence, diya. Artha, if you have some economic development and you don't have time, you don't have the intelligence, although everyone thinks they do, but maybe you don't want to use it, well, give a donation, share some of the economic development for which you work so hard. Vakya, the words, well, wherever you go, offer your words to Krishna. You're sitting in a train, you're sitting in a plane, you're riding in a bus, someone's sitting next to you. You start a conversation. Gradually, the conversation turns to Krishna. On the way over, I sat next to this lady on the plane, and I said, are you going on vacation to Switzerland, or are you going home? So we started talking, and she told me a little bit about her story, and then she said, what is this? What is this? Thank you, Krishna. And, I told her all about, I'm not really a Swiss by birth. I became Swiss later on in life. I came to Switzerland. I'm going home. to visit old friends, and I talked to her about vegetarianism. Oh, I'm a vegetarian. You're a vegetarian? I couldn't believe it. What are the odds that you get to sit next to a vegetarian in the airplane? So she says, yes, ever since I was 5 years old, I was fighting with my father. He always wanted me to eat meat. The more he pressured me, the more I resisted. The more he tried to take me away from vegetarianism, the more, and I've been a vegetarian ever since. And in the end she said, you know, I really never knew that you people are so thoughtful, and you're so pleasant, and it's so easy to talk to you. Well, what am I going to do? I'm in an airplane. What am I supposed to look at the movie? And then, you know, you sleep and you talk, you sleep and you talk. The vegetarian meal comes, you take out your prasadam, they look at what you're eating, they say, hey, that looks pretty good. And just from this random experience, you can offer your words to Krishna. And that's called devotional service too. And of course, you can offer, hopefully, your prana, your life. If you're very fortunate, Krishna will enable you to make that big step, that you can offer everything you've got. But Rome was not built in one day. It is a process. Krishna consciousness is not simply an event. An event is something that happens at a fixed point in time and it's over. That was a great event. Krishna consciousness is a process of many events strung together, one after another, over time. Hopefully over a lifetime. If not, over some period of time. And if we are sincere, we look for some type of a service. It's impossible to find no service. It means one hasn't looked hard enough. It doesn't have to be a big service. Even a little spider can kick a few grains of sand into the ocean to help build Lord Ramachandra's bridge. But if we don't do any service, how will we ever approach Krishna? How will we ever get out of the me, the material body concept of life, and its extended concentric circles? Those were the circles that I listed before. There's me, then there's my parents, then there's my children, then there's my family, my aunts and uncles, then there's all my friends, then there's my town, then there's my canton. These are all, you've seen concentric circles over and over and over, right? And we just build on the layers, one on top of the other. And Krishna is saying, do what you can, but do it for me. That's the click. You know, Prabhupada once said that the same machine that is a heater, if you can modify the machine, it can become an air conditioner. You just have to make a click. It's like, just like a machine, you can do a click. The thermostat in my home has a button. If you push the button this way, it heats. If you push it that way, it cools. So it's the same machine, and it can do different functions. So Krishna is inviting us. Do something for me. Do some work. You can't live without working. In fact, I was talking to one, was that Rajamani I was talking to before? Right. I was talking to Rajamani. He says, you know what the problem with modern society is? It was like a rhetorical question, so I knew not to answer because I could tell he was going to tell me the answer. And he hit it right on the head. Modern society makes you work so hard that at the end of your work, you're a tired donkey and you have no time to do anything for Krishna. Keep talking. I'm ready to listen. What a nice point. It's true. He said, therefore, when we preach, when we encourage people, we don't want to scare them with, let me tell you about the 79 rules that are required to, or explain a 10th canto, or, Raganuga Bhakti means this. We must start like a child that crawls before he can walk or she can walk. And after walking, then there can be running. And maybe there can be running fast. But if we can actually, by our example, encourage others to do some type of a karma activity, mad karma, for me, Krishna, that's M capital, my work, that's the click, that's the change. That don't stop working, don't stop thinking, don't stop earning, don't stop speaking, but dedicate some or all of those activities for Krishna. That's my understanding of this particular verse. And sometimes I prepare for a class, I study the verse before, and sometimes I just let Krishna surprise me. And maybe you saw I smiled when I turned the page and I saw the translation of the verse. I love this verse. I love this verse. Because to whom can you not preach this verse? With whom can you not share this verse? Is there anyone who can say, this is beyond my capacity. This is beyond my power. You ask too much of me. This is Krishna's way of saying, you can do it. It's possible. No one need feel überfordert, right? Such a nice verse. Hare Krishna. The floor is yours. If you would like to comment or say anything.
I feel sometimes a little bit ashamed about myself, because still trying to be engaged in Krishna's service, I always expect something from me in return. Is there a way out of this dilemma?
The service will purify you. It's hard to believe, but if you chant especially, and you associate with devotees and serve, the service will purify you. All those, you're not condemned to staying at the same level of service forever. Because as you do more service, you become purified, and you'll become less worried about what's for you. You become less worried. I didn't say you become free from the worry. And then you do more service, and while you do that, you keep the company of devotees. Why? Because they're fellow servants. So you see, oh, they're serving, I'm serving. That's very enthusiastic for me. And you chant to be purified. And over time, believe it or not, you'll stop thinking about yourself. But like I said, it is a process. And Rome was not built in one day. It took them 1,000 years to build Rome. It took them a lot less time to destroy it, too. So don't be discouraged. You can measure the result. I mean, most devotees can actually feel that they're just more generous than they used to be, a little less selfish than they used to be. They care a little more about some of the other Prabhus than they did in the beginning. And they take a certain pleasure in getting the service right. And gradually it works. No?
Could be very slow. But I keep on going, I feel encouraged.
Well, listen. Have you ever seen time-lapse photography?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're staring at the flower. It doesn't look like the flower's opening, right? You just keep staring and staring. Someone films the entire process and then plays it at just a little faster speed because they know you're in a hurry and you don't have any patience to watch. It's amazing. The flower just opens up. But if you stand there and you watch the flower, you think nothing's happening, right? That can be our problem, is that you do the same eyes that cannot see Krishna cannot see the purification that is achieved through Krishna. You see wood or marble or metal when you see the deities, well, you can't see Krishna just yet. You get a glimpse. Remember at Snanayatra, I spoke about the glimpse of Krishna through the... So you get a glimpse of service too. When you start, it looks like you don't even know what you're doing. Some devotee will say, Bhakta, and then he'll say, he'll say his name. Oh yeah, Bhakta John. Could you help me fold these envelopes? We're trying to get these circulars out for some Janmashtami event. That's Krishna's appearance day. Would you mind? And he doesn't know what he's doing. He'll fold some envelopes and stuff the invitations. He's on his way. And you will see it. You will see. We have enough older devotees. I don't mean, like just old by bodily age. They've just been doing the process long enough and they can bear witness that there is a difference. Are we as advanced as we would like to be? Of course not. We never will be as, hopefully we like to be very, very surrendered to Krishna. But most devotees who have done the process will tell you, I do notice that I'm better today than I used to be yesterday. It's kind of like, I love Krishna not enough, but I love him more today than I did yesterday. I don't love serving Krishna as much as I should, but I love doing it more today than I did last week or last month. When I showed up, I didn't know anything. And now I like doing what I do. And find it. You have to find it. Sometimes in the temple, like Prabhupada explains in the purport, every effort requires land, capital, organization, and labor, right? So, there's the land, it's called Bergstrasse 54, it's a parcella, it's in the Grundbuchamt, and there's an organization, there's a temple, a president, and there is a vice president, and there's always somebody coming to, Prabhu, do you mind if, do you have trying to engage you, that's the organization for the labor, right? And some capital. But it's your responsibility to find something that you can do. You'll get many solicitations, many offers. Hopefully they're from devotees. You'll get offers to serve everybody but Krishna. Everybody but Prabhupada. And if you take up one of those offers to serve Prabhupada and Krishna, whatever it is, you're on your way. Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayana vidyate svapamapyasya dharmasya prayate matobhayat. On this path of devotional service, even a little bit of advancement can save you from the greatest forms of fear. Right? So, Krishna promises that. Masucha, don't fear.
I have a question regarding that. You mentioned we don't speak about all these rules, regulations to people, don't burden them. And isn't it a matter of perspective whether something is a burden for us or not? Like I can think, oh yeah, learning all this small mantras for the full Achman or like full Tilak is kind of a burden, takes me time, and I have to remember that. And, but on the other hand, I could also see it as an opportunity, like to perform a higher quality service because I purify myself more with having that, or thinking Prabhupada would like that. So isn't it a matter out of perspective? It
is, but it's a good point. I like that point very much. But the process gets you to that point. In other words, you have to, there's this saying by some Chinese wise person, Lao Tzu. I don't remember the book that he wrote thousands of years ago. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And after putting on the tilak, first of all, you don't even want to put it on. Then you don't know how to put it on. And someone says, here, let me help you. You see, it's this finger, and and then you have to kind of, do you need a mirror? After a while, you don't need the mirror, And then after a while, you want to say the mantras properly, and then, but maybe you only do. And after a while, the process has purified you and taken you with it. You're like taken with the current of devotional service. And yes, you get exactly to the point you've described. And it is not a burden, and the perspective has changed. But the tool for the changing of the perspective is the service itself. Because otherwise, so many people came to the West and talked about Krishna or whatever this is a very special time. Right now, 50 years ago, Srila Prabhupada is on an old cargo ship sailing through the night and through the day on the Indian Ocean towards Suez. It's pretty amazing, really. And Prabhupada came to give us the process. And we're so unfortunate that we just don't take the process seriously. And we also think that, well, Prabhupada, that's okay. Well, he was the first. He came first, and it's historical, so, you can't take that away from Prabhupada. But today, I am busily engaged in whatever. That's a very poor excuse. If you take the process, it's so funny. You hear every criticism. Prabhupada made it too simple. Prabhupada made it too complicated. Prabhupada this, Prabhupada that. But the fact of the matter is that the process Prabhupada gave bore fruit. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be sitting here having this discussion. And the people who are saying it's a this and it's a that, the great majority of them, they owe it all to Prabhupada in the first place. I've met devotees who say, well, I'll always have Prabhupada in my heart. Are you doing any service for Prabhupada? Well, this and that and that and this. Can't you do anything for Prabhupada? No, I'm not in this and this and that. That's not shame. That's not very grateful. It's like why would I waste my time with a 97-year-old mother? Well, I can't look myself in the mirror and think that I'm just an ungrateful son of a you-know-what. So, we are the sons and daughters, the grandsons and granddaughters of Prabhupada. And today, frankly, I've seen in the material world, the grandchildren become more dear to the grandparent than the children. Have you ever noticed that? The grandparent says, I love you, my son, I love you, my daughter, but it was really difficult raising you. You made so many problems. I had to sacrifice so much, and now I'm older, and I love being with my grandchildren, and I spoil my grandchildren. And suddenly the son and the daughter are like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? So for those of us who say, well, I didn't meet Prabhupada, and now there's, this alternative to Prabhupada, or this other approach, which probably wouldn't have existed if Prabhupada hadn't even come in the first place. You are equally, if not more dear to Prabhupada, because you are the grandchildren of Prabhupada. Think about it. It doesn't require a heck of a lot of imagination that if Prabhupada could see a whole new generation taking positions of service and responsibility, what would he think? He'd think it's Krishna. Just like Prabhupada said, dear Lord, I don't know why you brought me to this place. It is so filled with ignorance, nescience, but you must have had some purpose for bringing me here. Oh Lord, make me dance as you wish. And Prabhupada somehow was able to make devotees. And those devotees made devotees. It's incredible. Because if Prabhupada said, my only credit was that I followed my Guru Maharaj, I have nothing to say that I had invented. Prabhupada, when he wrote in the introduction to Bhagavad-gita, he said there are so many editions of Bhagavad-gita. What is the need? He asked. Did you ever see that little blue Bhagavad-gita? The first Bhagavad-gita that was published. It had an introduction by Allen Ginsberg and Denise Levertov, who was some kind of a poet. No one? It's a little blue paperback Bhagavad-gita. I remember reading it in that introduction. You know, sometimes the books get, you know, edited. I don't know, I should probably look after the class if it's in the introduction here. But I said, the reason I presented this Bhagavad-gita is because I am presenting Bhagavad-gita as it is. Those three words make all the difference in the world. As it is. Krishna is not the representation of the unborn within the Brahman, as Dr. Radhakrishnan, former president of India, said. Prabhupada wrote him a letter about that. This is Bhagavad Gita as Krishna said it. And so, if Prabhupada could perform the miracle by Krishna's mercy and his spiritual masters, and then the miracle continued, perhaps in some ways a more unlikely miracle, the disciples of Prabhupada could bring it to a new generation, then how amazing is this process? And how dear the new generation is to Prabhupada. You know, everyone feels an anxiety. I always felt this anxiety. Does Prabhupada even know who I am? You know, sometimes like the next generation, oh, you're so lucky, you know. But while Prabhupada was here, I was like, does Prabhupada really know who I am? Does Prabhupada even know what I'm doing? And then that anxiety there, that I'm dedicating my time, my energy, my life, you know, is there any recognition for me? And guess what? There always was, and it would come sometimes at the most amazing times. And I think Prabhupada would be very, very overjoyed to see that another generation is carrying the mail. No change, as it is. I don't know how I got on that, but I kind of got carried away. You know, in Switzerland can be a wonderful place to preach. And frankly, Switzerland can be a confusing place to preach too. Sometimes I think Switzerland is the United Nations of every Marga today. All Margas have met in Switzerland. And I'm just begging, you know, that if you've already taken a look at Prabhupada's books, take another look. If you know them better. And if you think you know them, don't be so sure. And people say, well, you know, these books, I already read them, you know. Now I'm reading the Ujvala Tira Sakana Nilamani Pancha Janta Kalama whatever. You know? I don't know what you're understanding from all of that, but I suggest take another look right here. You'll find your salvation here. I hope that doesn't sound too simple. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Bhagavad-gita as it is. Some people don't understand really the depth of the meaning. And by coincidence, when I came here by bus 2 days ago, an Indian couple sat next to us, which is does not happen so often here. So it's doing the whole bus ride from Munich. And they said, well, we have read your book, Bhagavad-gita as it is, but there are so many translations of Bhagavad-gita. And she was a little bit of Mayavadi. But they have been to Mayapur. So I said, yes, so what does it mean, as it is? Just to add to it, what you just said. I was inspired to hear that coincidence. And so I'm also just now meditating on that. So she said, there are so many translations. Then I said, well, did you ever think why this one is called As It Is? You know? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita that only a devotee can actually understand Bhagavad-gita, one who performs devotional service. And this contains the commentaries of all the previous great devotees, like Madhvacharya, condensed in the purpose of Srila Prabhupada. So if you want to understand, you can understand in one day. But this will actually change. Srila, she couldn't say anything. And in the end, she was quite pleased, and she said she's been here and liked this temple also. But I told them, you cannot understand Bhagavad-gita in one day. You will have to read it every day for the rest of your life.
As it is a very simple thing to understand.
Yeah.
Did you ever play this game when you were a kid, where you would tell somebody something, and they would repeat it to someone else, and they would repeat it to someone else, and it would go around a circle, and then the last kid would have the duty to repeat out loud what he heard, as it wasn't. As it is, as it isn't. And everyone would laugh. The problem is nobody's laughing. Everyone's taking it serious. The last kid says, blah, 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 and everybody takes it seriously instead of laughing. You hit the nail on the head, Prabhu, by a devotee. Krishna's, it's like not everybody is a mailman. You understand? You have to be qualified to be a mailman. You can't just go, say, oh, I'm going to go, deliver the mail. You have to have the uniform. You have to have the training. You have to be certified. You have to be approved. The government has to authorize it. Not anybody can just deliver mail. You may want to. It looks like just take the envelope and stick it in the box. But it has to be put in the box by a mailman. That's the guarantee that it's delivered intact, unadulterated. The mailman delivered it. He is sworn never to interfere with the process of mail delivery or with the integrity of the message. Some poet in America wrote some poem about the mailman, and on the largest post office in New York, they inscribed it. It looks like a Greek temple. It's so big. And they wrote, and it's something like, he shall not be deterred in the fulfillment of his rounds, whether there be snow, rain, or sleet. That describes Prabhupada. He was not deterred in the fulfillment of his rounds by anything. So anyway, everyone loves the new improved version. That's the material world. The product that you washed your clothes with for 20 years is new and improved. It's the new and improved version. The new and improved. That's not our process. That is not Sampradaya. Yes, time, place, circumstances, they differ. I don't want to give the impression that I'm a narrow-minded person. Creativity, time, place, and circumstance, to innovate, that's there. There's plenty of room for that. But it's really the same message. It's the timeless message. We heard this morning, how Narayan or Vishnu gave the message to Brahma. We have to be the mailman of the Brahma Sampradaya. And we can't jump over the spiritual master. We can't jump over Srila Prabhupada. We should not just pay some kind of courtesy formality. Oh yes, Prabhupada. But we really have to carry Prabhupada in our heart. And remember that when you jump over the spiritual master, you lose your spiritual purity. We're done. Hare Krishna.
Gauranga Prabhu.